Have you ever wondered what would happen if you took the best parts of Italy, mixed them with a dash of North African spice, threw in some British quirkiness, and then shrunk it all down to fit on an island smaller than most cities? Well, pack your curiosity because we're about to reveal the secret life of Malta, the Mediterranean's most surprising gem that somehow manages to pack 0 years of history, 3 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and some of the clearest waters on Earth, into just 122 square miles. But here is the real question that is going to blow your mind. Can you actually experience this paradise on just $600 a month? Buckle up, because what we found will either make you book a flight tonight or question everything you thought you knew about Mediterranean living. Malta isn't just another pretty island floating in the blue Mediterranean. This is a place where ancient temples older than Stonehenge sit next to ultramodern nightclubs, where you can hear 3 different languages in a single conversation, and where the locals somehow manage to throw better parties than Ibiza while maintaining a deeply Catholic culture. The water here is so clear that boats look like they're floating on air. The honey-colored limestone buildings glow like they're lit from within, and the nightlife in Paceville makes Vegas look tame. Yet somehow, this isn't the Malta that most people know about. What makes Malta truly extraordinary isn't just its obvious beauty, though trust me, when you see those golden fortresses rising straight out of the Sapphire Sea, you'll understand why everyone from Napoleon to Hollywood directors can't stay away. The real magic happens when you peel back the postcard-perfect surface and find a living, breathing culture that somehow manages to be deeply traditional and wildly modern at the same time. This is a place where grandmothers still make pastizzi by hand using recipes passed down for generations, while their granddaughters are out conquering the European job market, where ancient village festivals with fireworks displays that would make Disney jealous happen every summer weekend, and where you can party until sunrise then catch an early morning mass, sometimes in the same outfit. But let's address the elephant in the room right now. Everyone thinks Mediterranean paradise equals expensive paradise. Everyone assumes that crystal clear water, medieval cities, and year-round sunshine come with Monaco-level price tags. Everyone believes that $600 a month would maybe cover your coffee budget in a place this beautiful. Well, everyone might be in for the shock of their lives. The story of how Malta became this incredible cultural melting pot starts way back in the midst of prehistory. The Hagar Kim and Menasra temples aren't just old, they're precision-engineered astronomical calendars built by people who supposedly didn't even have metal tools. Walking through these temples is surreal because you realize you're standing in structures that were already ancient when the pharaohs were just getting started. They built villas, established proper cities, and generally brought their usual efficiency to island management. But the real game changer came in 60 AD when, according to Christian tradition, St. Paul got shipwrecked here during a storm. Whether you buy the religious angle or not, this event put Malta on the Christian map in a big way. The siege lasted for months, and when it was over, the Ottomans limped home, having lost most of their fleet and their reputation for invincibility. Valletta, billed as a city built by gentlemen for gentlemen, became the crown jewel of the Mediterranean. Every street was planned for both beauty and defense. Every building was designed to European palatial standards, and the whole city was positioned to make any approaching enemy fleet think twice. The Knights ruled for 268 years, and during that time, they turned Malta into a cultural and architectural masterpiece that still takes your breath away today. Then came Napoleon in 1798, who took the islands in what might be history's most anticlimactic conquest, the Knights. By this point, more interested in their art collections than fighting, basically handed over the keys without a fight. Napoleon stayed exactly 6 days before sailing off to conquer Egypt, leaving behind a confused population and a power vacuum that the British were happy to fill. British rule from 1814 to 1964 gave Malta its final cultural layer, the English language, cricket clubs, left-hand driving, and a legal system that still functions today. But more importantly, British rule made Malta absolutely crucial during both world wars. During World War II, Malta became the most bombed place on Earth, enduring over 3,000 air raids. The entire island earned Britain's George Cross for gallantry, the only time a whole country has received this honor. The Maltese didn't just survive this ordeal, they thrived, developing the kind of resilient, community-focused culture that defines the island today. This incredible historical layering is why modern Malta feels so unique. You've got Neolithic, mystery temples, Phoenician trading posts, Roman villas, Arab architectural influences, Norman churches, knights' palaces, British colonial buildings, and ultra-modern developments all crammed together on an island you can drive across in 45 minutes. The result is a place that feels simultaneously ancient and contemporary, deeply rooted yet globally connected. Living in this historical sandwich has given the Maltese a particular approach to life that outsiders find both charming and completely baffling. Time moves differently here, not slowly exactly, but with a different rhythm. The concept of Maltese time is real and operates about 15 to 30 minutes, behind whatever time was actually agreed upon. This isn't rudeness, it's a cultural understanding that relationships matter more than rigid scheduling. When someone says they'll meet you at 7 p.m., what they really mean is sometime around 7 p.m. After I finished this conversation with my neighbor's cousin about his daughter's wedding plans, family connections in Malta aren't just important. They're basically the operating system that runs everything. Everyone is related to everyone else through about 3 degrees of separation maximum. This means that getting anything done often involves a complex web of family favors, recommendations, and social obligations that can seem impossibly complicated to outsiders. But once you're inside, this system, Once someone's cousin's nephew decides you're okay, doors start opening everywhere. The Maltese speak at least two languages fluently, Maltese and English, and many speak Italian, and some Arabic as well. Maltese itself is a linguistic treasure, the only Semitic language written in Latin script and officially recognized in the European Union. Listening to Maltese conversation is wild, because you'll catch familiar words from multiple language families all mixed together. They might start a sentence in Maltese, throw in some English technical terms, add an Italian expression for emphasis, and finish with Arabic-rooted words that sound completely foreign. Somehow, everyone follows along perfectly. The Catholic faith isn't just a religious practice in Malta. It is woven into the social fabric at every level. Sunday Mass isn't just about religion. It's the weekly community gathering where you catch up on gossip, make business connections, and maintain social relationships. The church bells that ring constantly aren't just marking religious services. They rate the island's traditional communication system, announcing everything from celebrations to emergencies. Yet modern Malta is surprisingly progressive in many ways. Women have high participation in education and professional life. The country has some of the most liberal LGBTQ rights laws in Europe, and divorce became legal in 2011 after a closely fought referendum. This creates interesting cultural tensions that play out in daily life. You might see a same-sex couple holding hands walking past a shrine to the Virgin Mary, and somehow everyone's okay with this contradiction. Business meetings often start with 20 minutes of catching up on family news, discussing the weather, and generally establishing personal connections before any actual business gets discussed. This drives efficiency-minded Northern Europeans crazy, but it creates a work environment where people genuinely care about each other as human beings, not just as productive units. The weather shapes everything about daily life here, with over 300 days of sunshine per year. Outdoor living isn't just possible, it's mandatory. Maltese architecture reflects this, with traditional houses built around central courtyards and modern apartments featuring large balconies and roof terraces. The limestone construction keeps buildings cool in summer and warm in winter, creating naturally comfortable living spaces that require minimal artificial climate control. Sweets in Malta reflect the Arab influence in the most delicious way possible. Cassetat are sweet, ricotta-filled pastries that are basically the dessert version of pastizzi. Helvatat or Turkish delight is still made by hand in traditional sweet shops. But food in Malta isn't just about what you eat. It is about how and where you eat it. Sunday lunch with the family isn't optional. It's a cultural institution that can last for hours and involve multiple courses, extensive discussion of family matters, and probably several neighbors dropping by to join the conversation. Restaurants understand this rhythm, and Sunday service moves at a pace that accommodates serious conversation between courses. The cafe culture combines Italian coffee traditions with British afternoon tea customs in uniquely Maltese ways. Coffee is serious business, proper espresso, perfectly steamed milk, and pastries that complement rather than compete with the coffee. But tea time is equally important, especially among the older generation who still maintain British-influenced afternoon rituals. Wine culture in Malta is experiencing a renaissance that's producing some genuinely excellent bottles. The local grapes, Girgentina for whites and Geluza for reds, are indigenous varieties that produce wines with distinctive Mediterranean character. Malta's small size means most wineries are family operations where you can meet the actual winemaker and taste wines that never make it off the island. Street food culture extends beyond pastizzi to include cassetat tala ricotta pastries, vigilla bean paste spread, and during summer, kini, a local soft drink flavored with bitter oranges and aromatic herbs that taste like nothing else on earth. These aren't tourist foods, they're what locals actually eat, and understanding them gives you insider access to daily Maltese life. The cost of all this culinary goodness is where Malta starts to make financial sense. A pastizzi costs 35 cents. A proper Hobbs Bizet sandwich runs about €3 to €4 and provides enough food for a full meal. Local restaurants serve complete dinners for €15 to €20 per person. Even fine dining rarely exceeds €40 per person unless you're going completely overboard with wine. For someone on a €600 monthly budget, eating well in Malta isn't just possible, it's basically guaranteed. When the sun goes down, Malta transforms into something completely different. And nowhere is this more apparent than in Paceville, the country's undisputed nightlife capital. But to understand Maltese nightlife, you first need to understand that this isn't just about drinking and dancing. It is about social connection, cultural expression, and a very particular Mediterranean approach to having a good time. The result is controlled chaos that somehow manages to be both wildly energetic and relatively safe. The Maltese have perfected the art of partying hard while looking out for each other. The evening starts early by Mediterranean standards. Pre-drinking happens at home or in quiet bars. But by 10 p.m., the streets start filling up. The Maltese approach to getting ready for a night out is thorough. This isn't casual drinking. It's a social event that requires proper preparation. British-style pubs cater to the large expat community and tourists. Italian-influenced wine bars attract a slightly older, more sophisticated crowd. And scattered throughout are uniquely Maltese venues that somehow combine elements from all these influences. The club scene is legitimately impressive. Venues like John Pula Village host international DJs and attract crowds that wouldn't look out of place in Berlin or Amsterdam. The sound systems are world-class, the lighting is sophisticated, and the crowds know how to dance. But unlike some European party destinations where the scene can feel impersonal or commercialized, Malta maintains a community feel even in the biggest venues. The overall vibe is inclusive and welcoming, but there are unspoken rules about behavior that locals understand instinctively. Real partying doesn't start until midnight. Clubs don't hit their peak until 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. Cover charges exist for some clubs, but rarely exceed €10 minus 15 for someone living on €600 monthly. Enjoying Malta's nightlife regularly is entirely feasible with basic budgeting. Safety in nightlife areas is generally excellent. Malta has very low crime rates, and the community-oriented culture means that inappropriate behavior gets shut down quickly. Police presence is visible, but not oppressive, and locals genuinely look out for each other and for visitors who show respect for the culture. Throughout the year, Malta explodes into celebration with a festival calendar that reveals the soul of this remarkable culture. These aren't tourist events created for Instagram moments. They array living traditions that connect modern Malta to thousands of years of cultural continuity, while providing some of the most spectacular parties you'll find anywhere in Europe. The Festa season runs from May through September, and during this period, practically every village and town holds its own celebration honoring a patron saint. But calling these religious festivals doesn't capture their true nature. They rate community celebrations that happen to have religious themes. Each festa involves months of preparation, with local committees organizing everything from decorative lighting to fireworks displays to musical performances. The fireworks deserve special attention because Malta has elevated pyrotechnics to an art form. This isn't just about shooting some colored lights into the sky. Maltese firework makers create elaborate displays that tell stories, incorporate musical timing, and feature techniques you won't see anywhere else in the world. The competition between villages to create the most spectacular fireworks is fierce, and the results are genuinely breathtaking. Some displays feature synchronized detonations across multiple locations, creating symphony-like experiences that last for over an hour. Valletta's Festa season kicks off with the Feast of St. Paul's Shipwreck in February, but the real action starts with the Santa Maria Festa in August. The entire city transforms with decorative lighting, street vendors, live music, and processions that involve elaborate statues carried through the streets by teams of volunteers. The evening processions are particularly magical, with hundreds of candles creating a moving river of light through Valletta's Baroque architecture. Carnival season in February and March showcases Malta's more irreverent side. The celebrations combine traditional European carnival elements with uniquely Maltese twists. Elaborate floats parade through Valletta featuring satirical commentary on politics and social issues. Costume competitions reward creativity and craftsmanship. Street parties involve entire communities, and the usual social hierarchies disappear as everyone joins the celebration. The Malta International Fireworks Festival in April brings pyrotechnic artists from around the world to compete in displays staged in the Grand Harbor. The setting is spectacular. Imagine professional-grade fireworks exploding over Baroque palaces and medieval fortifications, reflected in dark water that doubles every effect. The festival runs for several nights, with different countries presenting their signature styles. The finale combines all participants in a synchronized display that typically lasts over an hour and leaves audiences emotionally overwhelmed. Summer brings the village festa season into full swing, and this is when Malta's community culture becomes most visible. Each village celebrates its patron saint with a week-long festival, culminating in a grand celebration that often involves the entire population. These aren't small affairs. Even tiny villages put on festivals that would be impressive in major cities. The preparation involves everyone from small children learning traditional songs to elderly craftspeople creating decorative elements by hand. The Feast of Santa Maria on August 15th is Malta's biggest celebration, officially marking the Assumption of the Virgin Mary, but functioning as a national summer celebration. Mosta es Festa is particularly famous for its fireworks and the procession of a massive statue through streets lined with thousands of electric lights. The celebration continues until dawn, with families gathering for enormous outdoor meals and traditional folk music performances. Elinaria in June celebrates Saints Peter and Paul. With a uniquely Maltese twist, it has both a religious celebration and an agricultural fair. Held at Busquet Gardens, the festival features traditional Maltese folk music, local food competitions, and displays of traditional crafts. But the real attraction is the rabbit stew competition, where local chefs compete to create the best version of the national dish. The winning recipe becomes legendary, and people travel from across the islands to taste it. The Isle of MTV Malta special in June brings international pop stars to perform free concerts. For crowds of over 50,000 people, the event transforms Floriana into a massive outdoor venue, with multiple stages and performances that continue late into the night. Recent years have featured major international acts, making this one of Europe's most significant free music festivals. Not Bianca White Night in October turns Valletta into an all-night cultural celebration. Museums stay open until dawn, street performers fill every square, restaurants offer special menus, and the entire city becomes a stage for artistic expression. The event attracts tens of thousands of visitors, but the atmosphere remains intimate and community-focused rather than commercial. Christmas celebrations in Malta blend Mediterranean and Northern European traditions in uniquely charming ways. December weather is mild enough for outdoor celebrations, so Christmas markets nativity scenes, and carol singing happen in village squares under starlit skies. The traditional Christmas Eve Mass at St. John's Co-Cathedral in Valletta is particularly special, combining centuries-old musical traditions with Baroque architectural splendor. New Year's Eve in Malta offers multiple celebration options, from elegant parties in historic venues to massive street celebrations in Paceville. The fireworks display over the Grand Harbor at midnight is spectacular, but the real magic happens in the smaller gatherings where locals welcome visitors to join their family celebrations. These festivals reveal something crucial about Maltese culture: the ability to maintain deep traditions while remaining completely open to outside participation. Visitors aren't just tolerated at these events, they're actively welcomed and encouraged to participate, learning the basic steps to traditional dances, trying to follow along with folk songs, or helping with festival preparations provides genuine cultural immersion opportunities. The cost of participating in these festivals is minimal. Most events are free. Food is reasonably priced, and the main expense is typically transportation and accommodation if you're visiting from other parts of the islands. For someone living in Malta on a budget, the festival calendar provides months of high-quality entertainment at virtually no cost. Now let us address the big question that has been lurking throughout this entire conversation. Can you actually live well in Malta on $600 per month? The short answer is yes, but with important caveats that depend on your definition of living well and your willingness to adopt local lifestyle patterns rather than trying to maintain tourist-level expectations. The math starts with accommodation, which is the biggest variable in any Malta budget. Here's where local knowledge becomes crucial. Tourist-oriented rentals in prime locations like Slima, St. Julian's, or Central Valletta will blow through your entire budget in a week. But Malta has plenty of perfectly livable areas that tourists never see, and local rental prices in these areas are dramatically different from advertised tourist rates. Shared accommodation in residential areas like Paola, Tarxian, or Zeebrugge runs to €150 to €350 per month for a room in a decent apartment. These aren't glamorous neighborhoods, but they're safe, well-connected by public transport, and populated by actual Maltese families rather than temporary residents. Living in these areas means shopping at local markets, using neighborhood services, and generally operating within the local economy rather than the tourist economy. For those willing to share a room, and this is common among students and young professionals, costs drop to €150 to $200 per month. This might sound unappealing, but remember that Malta's climate means you spend very little time indoors. Your room is basically for sleeping and storing belongings. Actual living happens outdoors, in cafes, at beaches, and in public spaces. The alternative is finding long-term rentals directly from Maltese owners who prefer stable, respectful tenants over maximum rental income. This requires patience, basic Maltese language skills, and usually some local connections, but it can result in finding decent apartments for €400 to $500 monthly. The key is demonstrating that you're a serious resident rather than a temporary visitor. Food costs are where Malta becomes genuinely affordable. Shopping at local markets and cooking at home, a single person can eat well for €80 to $120 per month. This assumes buying seasonal produce, shopping at multiple vendors for the best prices, and cooking most meals at home. Local markets in Valletta, Marsax's Lock, and village squares offer incredibly fresh produce at prices that would be impossible in most European cities. The pastizzi economy provides backup nutrition at unbeatable prices. For €2 to $3, you can get enough pastizzi to constitute a full meal. Local bakeries sell day-old bread at significant discounts. End-of-day shopping at markets often yields excellent produce at half price. And the tradition of large Sunday family meals means that making local friends often results in regular invitations to elaborate home-cooked feasts. Transportation costs are minimal thanks to Malta's excellent public bus system. A monthly bus pass costs €26 and provides unlimited travel throughout Malta and Gozo. The buses are modern, air-conditioned, and reach virtually every inhabited part of the islands. For someone living without a car, this represents incredible value and eliminates one of the major expenses of Mediterranean living. The ferry services between Malta and Gozo, as well as the harbor ferries around Valletta, are included in the bus pass. This means that weekend trips to Gozo, daily commuting options, and access to beaches throughout the islands are all covered by that single monthly payment. Healthcare costs depend heavily on your residency status and insurance arrangements. EU citizens have access to Malta's public healthcare system, which provides basic services at very low cost. Private healthcare is available and reasonably priced compared to other European countries. For minor health issues, pharmacies provide excellent service and advice without requiring doctor visits. Entertainment and social costs can be managed with local knowledge and community integration. Free events happen constantly. Beach access is free. Hiking is free. Many cultural events are free. And the Festa calendar provides months of high-quality entertainment at no cost. Learning to socialize in local rather than tourist venues means significantly lower costs for dining and nightlife. The realistic monthly breakdown for someone living carefully but comfortably on €600 looks like this. Accommodation €300, food €100, transportation €26, utilities and phone €50, entertainment and miscellaneous €75, with €49 remaining for emergencies or savings. This assumes shared accommodation, mostly home cooking, strategic social spending, and active participation in Malta's extensive free cultural offerings. But this budget requires genuine lifestyle adaptation. You're not eating in tourist restaurants regularly, you're not living in premium locations, and you're not maintaining Northern European consumption patterns. You're living like a local student or young professional, which means prioritizing experiences over possessions and community integration over individual comfort. The advantages of this lifestyle often outweigh the financial constraints. Malta's size means that even budget accommodation puts you within walking distance of incredible beaches, historic sites, and cultural events. The weather eliminates heating and cooling costs for much of the year. The community culture means that social life often revolves around low-cost activities, like beach gatherings, hiking, and home-based socializing. For digital nomads or remote workers, Malta offers additional advantages that can stretch budgets further. Excellent internet infrastructure, numerous co-working spaces, and a growing community of international professionals create opportunities for networking and income generation. The time zone works well for both European and North American clients, and the English-speaking environment eliminates language barriers that might exist in other affordable European destinations. The key to making €600 monthly work in Malta is patience, adaptability, and genuine interest in local culture rather than trying to recreate your home country lifestyle. In a Mediterranean setting, it requires shopping at local markets instead of international supermarkets, socializing in neighborhood bars rather than tourist venues, and finding entertainment in community events rather than commercial attractions. Getting around Malta reveals another layer of the island's unique character, and understanding the transportation system is crucial for anyone considering life here on a budget. Malta's approach to mobility reflects the same blend of practicality and community orientation that shapes everything else about the culture. The bus system is the backbone of public transportation, and is genuinely impressive for such a small country. Malta Public Transport operates over 80 routes using a fleet of modern, air-conditioned buses that connect virtually every populated area on the islands. The system was completely overhauled in recent years, replacing the famous old British era buses, which were charming but completely impractical, with a modern network designed for efficiency and comfort. But riding the buses requires understanding Maltese concepts of time and space. Routes often take scenic detours through village centers, giving passengers opportunities to see daily life, but making journey times unpredictable. A trip that should take 20 minutes might take 45 minutes if the bus stops for extended conversations between the driver and regular passengers, or if traffic in narrow village streets creates delays. This isn't an efficiency. It's a transportation system designed around community interaction rather than pure speed. The Talinea app provides real-time bus tracking, but experienced users know to build buffer time into their schedules. The system works excellently for daily commuting and regular travel, but it requires the same patience and flexibility that characterizes everything else about Maltese culture. Ferry services connect Malta to Gozo and provide scenic transportation around the harbors. The Gozo ferry is an experience in itself, a 25-minute journey through some of the most beautiful seascape in the Mediterranean. During summer, the upper decks become social spaces where passengers catch up on gossip, conduct business meetings, and generally treat the crossing as a community gathering rather than just transportation. The harbor ferries around Valletta are both practical and romantic, providing efficient connections between different parts of the capital area, while offering constantly changing views of the fortifications and historic buildings. These ferries run frequently and cost almost nothing, making them popular with both locals and visitors who understand their value. For those requiring more flexibility, car rental is straightforward but comes with distinctly Maltese challenges. The island's drive on the left of British legacy, roads are narrow and winding, and parking in popular areas ranges from difficult to impossible. Local drivers operate with their own interpretation of traffic rules that prioritizes courtesy and common sense over strict regulation compliance. This creates a driving culture that is generally safe but requires adaptation from visitors used to more rigid traffic systems. Scooter rental offers a popular middle ground, providing flexibility while avoiding the parking and maneuvering challenges of cars. Malta's small size makes scooters practical for most transportation needs, and the mild climate allows year-round two-wheeled travel. However, the combination of narrow roads, tourist drivers, and occasional bad weather creates safety considerations that require careful attention. Walking remains one of the best ways to experience Malta, particularly in historic areas like Valletta and Mdina where cars are restricted or impractical. The island's compact size means that many destinations are accessible on foot, and walking provides constant opportunities to discover hidden architectural details, unexpected viewpoints, and local businesses that aren't visible from vehicles. The cycling infrastructure is developing but remains limited compared to Northern European standards. Mountain biking and recreational cycling are popular, particularly in rural Gozo, but using bicycles for daily transportation requires careful route planning and awareness of traffic conditions. For budget-conscious residents, the combination of the unlimited monthly bus pass and occasional use of ferries, shared taxis, or car rental provides excellent mobility at reasonable cost. The key is understanding that transportation in Malta operates on relationship and community principles rather than pure efficiency metrics. Malta's attractions showcase 7,000 years of continuous human habitation compressed into one of the most beautiful settings in the Mediterranean. Understanding these sites provides context for everything else about Maltese culture, from the community values to the artistic traditions to the deep sense of historical continuity that shapes daily life. Valletta represents one of Europe's greatest urban planning achievements, a city designed from scratch by military engineers who understood both beauty and defense. Walking through Valletta is like moving through a perfectly preserved 16th century urban environment where every street, every building, and every public space was planned for maximum impact. The grid pattern ensures that most streets end with spectacular harbor views, while the Baroque architecture creates a visual consistency that's both grand and intimate. St. John's Co-Cathedral looks ordinary from the outside. The Knights deliberately designed it to blend with the surrounding fortifications, but stepping inside reveals one of the most spectacular Baroque interiors in the world. The floor is entirely covered with marble tombstones of knights, each one a masterpiece of artistic carving. The ceiling paintings by Masciapretti create an illusion of infinite space that seems to dissolve the architectural boundaries. Caravaggio's The Beheading of St. John Baptist hangs here, the only painting the master ever signed, in what many consider his greatest work. The Grand Master's Palace houses the President's office and the Parliament, but its staterooms remain open to visitors. The armory contains one of the world's finest collections of knights' armor and weapons, while the tapestry chambers display intricate works that took decades to complete. These aren't museum pieces. Their functional space is still used for state functions, making them living examples of Malta's continuing governmental traditions. Dina, the Silent City, offers a completely different perspective on Maltese history. This medieval walled city served as Malta's capital for over 1,000 years before the Knights built Valletta. Walking through Dina's narrow streets feels like time travel. The architecture spans from Norman to Baroque periods, and the absence of cars creates an atmosphere of timeless tranquility. The cathedral and cathedral museum contain artistic treasures that rival anything in Rome, while the city walls provide panoramic views across the entire island. The megalithic temples scattered across Malta represent some of humanity's oldest architectural achievements. Hagar Kim and Menastra, built between 3600 to 2500 BC, demonstrate sophisticated understanding of astronomy, acoustics, and structural engineering that challenges assumptions about prehistoric capabilities. Standing inside these temples, you're surrounded by stonework that predates Stonehenge by 1,000 years, and the Egyptian pyramids by 500 years. The precision of the construction, the astronomical alignments, and the sheer ambition of these projects remain mysterious and inspiring. The Blue Lagoon on Camino Island represents Malta's natural beauty at its most spectacular. The water here is so clear that boats appear to float on air, while the white sand bottom creates an almost unnatural blue luminescence. Swimming in the Blue Lagoon feels surreal. The water is warm, perfectly clear, and teeming with fish that show no fear of humans. The surrounding cliffs and caves provide endless opportunities for snorkeling and exploration. Gozo, Malta's sister island, offers a more rural and traditional perspective on Maltese life. The landscape is greener and more agricultural, dotted with ancient farmhouses and traditional fishing villages. The Azure Window, a natural limestone arch that became an icon of Malta, collapsed in 2017, but the surrounding area remains spectacular for diving and hiking. Gozo's pace of life is even more relaxed than Malta's, and its beaches and coves offer perfect settings for understanding Mediterranean island living. The three cities of Vittoriosa, Sanglia, and Cospicua provide insight into Malta's maritime heritage and working-class culture. These historic neighborhoods across the harbor from Valletta contain some of Malta's oldest buildings and most authentic local communities. Walking through their narrow streets reveals traditional Maltese architecture, neighborhood social life, and spectacular views of Valletta's fortifications. Marsax Loch, Malta's principal fishing village, hosts a Sunday market that's become legendary among locals and visitors alike. The colorful traditional boats called luzzas fill the harbor, while the market offers everything from fresh fish to locally made crafts. This isn't a tourist creation. It has a functioning fishing community that has maintained its traditional character, while adapting to modern economic realities. The accessibility and affordability of these attractions make them perfect for budget-conscious exploration. Most sites charge modest entrance fees or are completely free. The public transportation system reaches all major attractions, and many can be combined into day-long explorations that provide comprehensive cultural immersion at minimal cost. Malta consistently ranks among Europe's safest countries, with crime rates that would be considered impossibly low in most urban environments. This safety extends beyond simple statistics to encompass a social environment where personal security, community support, and institutional reliability create conditions for genuine peace of mind. Violent crime is extremely rare, and when it does occur, it typically involves domestic disputes or organized crime activities that don't affect general population or visitors. Petty theft happens occasionally in tourist areas, but even pickpocketing and bag snatching occur at rates far below other Mediterranean destinations. The community-oriented culture means that suspicious behavior gets noticed quickly, and locals genuinely look out for each other and for respectful visitors. The healthcare system combines public and private options that provide excellent coverage for both emergency and routine medical needs. Public healthcare is available to EU citizens through reciprocal agreements, while private healthcare offers world-class facilities at costs significantly below what's similar treatment would cost in Northern Europe or North America. Many medical professionals trained in Britain or other English-speaking countries, eliminating language barriers for medical communication. Emergency services operate efficiently across the islands despite Malta's small size. The distance from any location to major medical facilities is never more than 30 minutes, and helicopter evacuation services provide rapid access to specialized treatment when necessary. Pharmacies are well-stocked and staffed by knowledgeable professionals who can provide advice and treatment for minor health issues without requiring doctor visits. The education system produces high literacy rates and strong English language skills, creating a population that's both well-informed and internationally connected. This educational foundation contributes to social stability and provides opportunities for meaningful cultural exchange between locals and international residents. Transportation safety reflects careful infrastructure development and community-oriented driving. Culture. While roads are narrow and traffic can be dense, serious accidents are relatively rare due to low speed limits and drivers who generally prioritize courtesy over aggressive behavior. Public transportation safety is excellent, with modern vehicles and professional drivers who understand local conditions. Water safety around Malta's extensive coastline benefits from clear conditions, moderate currents, and well-established rescue services. The water clarity makes it easy to assess conditions and hazards, while the Mediterranean's generally calm nature creates ideal conditions for swimming, snorkeling, and water sports. Lifeguard services operate at major beaches during summer months. Personal security for women traveling alone or living independently in Malta is generally excellent compared to most international destinations. The strong Catholic cultural influence creates social environments where harassment and aggressive behavior are socially unacceptable, while the community-oriented culture means that inappropriate behavior gets shut down quickly by bystanders. Financial security benefits from stable banking institutions, reliable legal systems, and transparent governmental processes. While Malta's economy depends heavily on tourism and financial services, both sectors are well regulated and provide stable employment opportunities for residents. Understanding visa requirements and legal pathways for extended stays in Malta opens up possibilities for transforming a visit into a long-term lifestyle change. Malta's position within the European Union provides multiple options for legal residency, from short-term tourist stays to permanent residency and eventual citizenship. For short-term visits, Malta follows standard Schengen area rules, allowing 90 days of travel within any 180-day period. For most passport holders, this provides ample time to experience the culture, test lifestyle compatibility, and build local connections that might support longer-term arrangements. The Digital Nomad Visa, launched in 2021, specifically targets remote workers and provides one-year residency permits, renewable up to 4 years total. The program requires proof of 40 to 1,000 euros annual income and remote work capability, but it offers legal residency, travel freedom throughout the Schengen area, and potential pathways to longer-term status. Application fees are reasonable at 300 euros, and processing typically takes 4 to 6 weeks. EU citizens enjoy freedom of movement and can establish residency in Malta without visa requirements. This includes access to public health care, education systems, and employment opportunities. Throughout the islands, registration with local authorities is required for stays exceeding 3 months, but the process is straightforward and doesn't involve significant barriers. Student visas provide pathways for longer-term stays while building local connections and language skills. Malta hosts numerous English language educational institutions, from university programs to specialized training courses, that can support student visa applications. Costs are generally lower than similar programs in other English-speaking countries, and part-time work opportunities exist for students. Investment-based residency programs exist for individuals with significant financial resources, but these are designed for wealthy investors rather than budget-conscious residents. The Malta Residence and Visa program requires substantial property purchases or rental, commitments that wouldn't fit within modest monthly budgets. Employment-based visas depend on finding job opportunities, with Maltese employers willing to sponsor work permits. The strong English-speaking business environment, growing technology sector, and tourism industry create opportunities for qualified professionals. However, competition for positions that offer visa sponsorship can be intense, particularly in popular fields. Long-term residency leading to citizenship requires 5 years of continuous legal residence, basic Maltese language competency, and integration into local community life. Malta allows dual citizens. HIP, meaning that obtaining Maltese citizenship doesn't require renouncing other national ties. The bureaucratic processes for visa applications and residency permits reflect Malta's blend of Mediterranean flexibility and European Union standards. Documentation requirements are specific but reasonable, processing times are generally predictable, and appeals processes exist for disputed decisions. Having local connections or professional assistance can smooth the application process significantly. Banking and financial services access for legal residents is straightforward, with numerous local and international banks offering services in English, opening bank accounts, establishing utility services, and accessing other essential services proceeds without the language barriers that might exist in other European countries. As we reach the end of this exploration into Malta's secret life, the picture that emerges is of a place that defies easy categorization. This isn't just another Mediterranean paradise, competing for tourist attention. It is a genuine cultural treasure that happens to be accessible to anyone willing to approach it with respect, patience, and genuine curiosity. The $600 monthly budget question that started this investigation has a nuanced answer. Yes, it's absolutely possible to live in Malta on this budget, but it requires embracing local lifestyle patterns rather than trying to maintain tourist-level expectations. It means shopping at village markets instead of international supermarkets, socializing in neighborhood bars rather than resort venues, and finding entertainment in community festivals rather than commercial attractions. Most importantly, it means becoming part of the community rather than just observing it from the outside. Malta's true genius lies in its ability to offer multiple layers of experience simultaneously. You can spend your morning exploring 5,000-year-old temples, your afternoon swimming in waters so clear they seem supernatural, and your evening dancing until dawn in clubs that rival anything in Europe, all within a 45-minute radius. You can have a conversation in 4 different languages over lunch, attend a village festa that's remained essentially unchanged for centuries, and still catch the latest Hollywood movie in a modern cinema complex. The cultural fusion that defines Malta isn't just historical accent. It is a living demonstration that different traditions can coexist, influence each other, and create something entirely new without losing their essential character. The Arab influences in the language, the Italian approach to food and family, the British administrative efficiency, and the uniquely Maltese community values combine into a society that's both deeply rooted and genuinely cosmopolitan. For anyone considering Malta as more than just a vacation destination, the key insight is that success here depends on integration rather than isolation. The community-oriented culture means that genuine friendships and professional connections develop quickly once you demonstrate commitment to understanding and respecting local ways of life. But it also means that attempts to recreate your home country lifestyle in a Mediterranean setting will be both expensive and ultimately unsatisfying. The safety, healthcare quality, educational opportunities, and legal frameworks provide security and stability that support long-term lifestyle planning. The natural beauty, historical richness, and cultural vibrancy provide daily inspiration and entertainment that would cost thousands of dollars monthly in most other destinations. And the strategic location within Europe provides access to the entire continent, while maintaining the intimacy and community connection of island living. Malta's future looks bright, with growing international recognition, developing technology industries, and increasing integration into global networks while maintaining its distinctive cultural identity. For someone willing to become part of the story rather than just observing it, Malta offers opportunities for a lifestyle that combines Mediterranean beauty, European sophistication, and genuine community connection at a cost that makes sense for normal human budgets. Whether you're a digital nomad seeking a base with character, a retiree looking for affordable European living, a young professional wanting international experience, or simply someone who believes that life should involve more beauty and community than most modern cities provide, Malta deserves serious consideration. Just remember to bring patience, curiosity, and a willingness to learn. The islands will teach you the rest. The secret life of the Mediterranean isn't hidden in exclusive resorts or expensive restaurants. It's happening every day in village squares where grandmothers argue about pastizzi recipes, in harbor cafes where fishermen plan the day's work over strong coffee, in family kitchens where Sunday lunch preparations start on Saturday afternoon, and in the countless small moments of connection that make Malta feel less like a destination and more like home. So, can you live well in Malta on $600 a month? The answer is yes, but more importantly, Malta offers something that no amount of money can buy elsewhere: the chance to be part of a community that values beauty, tradition, celebration, and human connection above efficiency, productivity, and individual achievement. In a world increasingly dominated by digital interaction and urban isolation, Malta provides a different model for how human societies can function, one that is both ancient and remarkably modern, both deeply local and genuinely international. The question isn't really whether you can afford to live in Malta. The question is whether you can afford not to experience what life looks like when community, beauty, history, and celebration are built into the daily rhythm of existence. Malta isn't perfect, no, places, but it offers something increasingly rare in the modern world: proof that human-scaled living is still possible, that beauty and affordability can coexist, and that the secret to happiness might not involve choosing between community and opportunity, between tradition and progress, between European sophistication and Mediterranean warmth. Malta manages to be all of these things simultaneously, and that might just be the most valuable secret of all.